So we are doing lesson number 11, the March to Freedom. We have started this journey of getting independence from 1919 and now soon we will be reaching towards it. Let's see the objectives done in the previous class. We have studied about the civil disobedience movement, Dandi March, the Round Table Conferences and the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Let us quickly see the terms that we have revised so far. Civil disobedience movement, Round Table Conference, Pact and Salt Law. I hope you know the terms and you have revised them also. Now next I'm going to ask you a few cross questions regarding the lesson. When did the civil disobedience movement launch in India? What was the Salt Law? Where is Sabarmati Ashram located? Who was known as Frontier Gandhi? What was the result of the first Round Table Conference? And when did the civil disobedience movement resume? In today's class, we are going to learn about the three main topics. That is, the Government of India Act, the Cripps Mission, the demand for Pakistan. And the terms that we are going to learn today are, number 1, All India Federation. Federalism in India refers to relations between centre and the states of the Union of India. Number 2, Diarchy. Diarchy means dual government system. Number 3, Autonomy, the right or condition of self-government. Next, Legislature. The law-making body is known as legislature. Bicameral. Legislature having two houses, that is, upper house and lower house, is known as bicameral. Princely states. States with native rulers which had entered into treaty relations with the British. Last, two-nation theory. Two-nation theory refers that Hindus and Muslims in India were two distinct communities and it resulted in 1947 with the partition of India and Pakistan. The Government of India Act 1935. The term Government of India Act refers to the act passed by the Parliament of the United Kingdom to regulate the government of British India. Though Government of India Act 1935 was never fully implemented, yet it served as part of the constitutional basis of India and Pakistan. Maximum more than 50% of the features given in Government of India Act are included in our present day constitution. What was the need of bringing this act? From a long time, leaders were demanding for the constitutional reforms in India, so it aims to make further provision for the Government of India. Let us first see the features of the Government of India Act. The first feature was that All India Federation had to be established, consisting of provinces and princely states as one unit. Let us first understand the difference between the provinces, the British provinces and the princely states. The British Indian provinces were British territories directly administered by the colonial government of British India. And the princely states were the states with native rulers which had entered into a treaty relations, means agreement with the British. They only had to pay the tax to the British government. The only condition was this, that if a king would not be able to pay the tax, the territory of the king would be annexed by the British. As you can see clearly in the map as well, the states in yellow color are the princely states like Jammu and Kashmir, Rajasthan, Hyderabad, Mysore. These were the princely states, means under the native rulers. They only had to pay the tax to the British government. Whereas the states in pink color are the British provinces. They were directly under the British control. So this was the first feature, that All India Federation had to be established, consisting of provinces and princely states as one unit. But children, the All India Federation was never made as princely states did not join it. One of the another important feature of the Government of India Act 1935 was the legislative power. Legislative means law-making body. So the legislative power was divided between the center and the state government in terms of three lists. They were the union list, the state list, and the concurrent list. Union list is the list where the central government has the power to make the laws. State list is the list where the state government has the power to make the laws, and concurrent list is the list where both central and state government jointly make the laws. See the pie chart very carefully, children. There are certain areas which are divided between the union and the state, and certain areas where the union and the state can together make the laws. Like under the union list, defense, banking, currency, and under the state list, the police, trade, and agriculture comes. And concurrent list is the area where both the governments can make the law. And this feature we have in our present day constitution also. Diarchy system was earlier prevalent in the provinces. It was abolished from the provinces and introduced at the center according to the Government of India Act. Diarchy means basically division of subjects, means division of the laws into reserved and transferred list. Children, we have already discussed about the reserved and the transferred list in one of our previous videos. The subjects, the important subjects like finance and police were put under the reserved list, and the reserved list came under the British control. And the less important subjects like public health and education were put under the ministers of the provinces, means under the transferred list. This feature was one of the main reasons why Congress rejected the act, because finance was under the British, and Indians, especially the Indian ministers, could not spend the money without the permission of the British. Page number 125, the Government of India Act 1935. Act means law. In 1935, the British passed the Government of India Act. This act had the following features. Number 1. This act suggested the creation of an All India Federation of the British Indian provinces and the Indian states, if more than half of the princely states decided to join it. Number 2. At the center, the system of diarchy was introduced, which was earlier prevalent in the provinces. Number 3. Autonomy was granted to the provinces. Autonomy means the right of a person or an organization. So it was granted to the provinces. The ministers of the provinces, means the ministers of the state governments, were to be responsible to the legislature. Legislature means law-making body. Nowadays also in our constitution, executive is responsible to the legislative. Executive is the law implementing body. The central legislature was to be bicameral. Bicameral means state having two houses, just like the upper house and the lower house of the parliament nowadays. Upper house is Rajya Sabha, which was known as Council of States, and the lower house was known as Federal Assembly. The governor also enjoyed special powers such as full control over the civil services and the police. Civil services means the body of the government officials who are employed in civil occupations, just like IAS, IPS and IFS officers. He could also veto the bills passed by the legislature. Bills here means law, and veto means temporarily stop. So the governor was given the power to control the civil services and the police, that is law and order, as well as he can temporarily stop any of the bills passed by the legislature. So basically the Government of India Act was a failure as it did not satisfy the demands of the Indians, and the major two reasons were that at the center the system of diarchy was introduced, and because of that the finance was under the British and Indians could not spend the money without the permission of the British. And number 2 was that the governor had more powers in the state, which is at present, according to the Constitution of India, lies with the President. In 1936, in its Lucknow session, the Congress rejected the act. It, however, agreed to participate in the elections to the provincial assemblies to be held in 1937. The Congress secured a majority in the election. It formed the government in 7 out of the 11 provinces of the British India. The Second World War broke out in 1939. Britain declared a war on India's behalf without even consulting the Congress. This resulted in the resignation of Congress ministers in 1939 in protest. The Cripps Mission. The Cripps Mission was a failed attempt by the British government to secure full Indian cooperation and support for their efforts in World War II. The mission was headed by a senior minister, Sir Stafford Cripps. Cripps belonged to the Labour Party. Labour Party was the political party in Britain which protects the right of the labourers and give the freedom to the colonies. So traditionally, he was sympathetic to Indian self-rule. Cripps was sent to negotiate an agreement with the Congress leaders. Cripps worked to keep India loyal to the British war efforts in exchange for a promise of elections and dominion status. Let us first know about few proposals of the Cripps Mission. Number 1. India would be given a dominion status. Number 2. After the end of the war, a constituent assembly would be formed to frame a constitution for India. Number 3. Defense of India would remain in the British hands. Number 4. Free India could withdraw from the Commonwealth. However, the Congress objected to this. The major objections were: Number 1, the offer of the dominion status. Now the Congress leader wanted complete independence, no more dominion status. Number 2, the major objection of the Muslim League as well, as the proposal denied to the Muslims right and the refusal of the creation of Pakistan. Means the creation of the Pakistan was nowhere mentioned in the Cripps Mission. So that is why it was equally rejected by the Muslim League. Page number 126, the Cripps Mission, 1942. The British government sent Sir Stafford Cripps to India in March 1942. He came to discuss the issues regarding the Second World War and to seek the support of Indian leaders in the war. This mission was known as the Cripps Mission. Under this mission, dominion status for India was proposed by Cripps at the end of the war. Here, I would like to repeat the term dominion status one more time with you all. A dominion was the title given to the semi-independent polities. Semi-independent means not fully independent. Under the British Crown, it means all laws and regulations of a country are maintained and controlled by its own citizens, except for foreign relations, defense, and communication. Both the major parties, that is Muslim League and Congress, rejected the proposals. The Congress rejected the proposal because of the offer of dominion status, as now the leaders, they wanted complete independence. And Muslim League refused to the proposal as there was nowhere mentioned about the creation of Pakistan in the Cripps Mission. Hence, the discussion between Cripps and the leaders failed. Demand for Pakistan. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was a barrister, politician, and the founder of Pakistan. Jinnah served as the leader of the All India Muslim League from 1913 until Pakistan's independence on 14th August 1947. Muslim League was a political party which was established for the demand of separation of Muslim majority nation Pakistan. Jinnah had come to believe that Muslims of the Indian subcontinent should have their own state. In 1940, Muslim League led by Jinnah passed the Lahore Resolution demanding a separate nation. Jinnah described Hindus and Muslims as two separate nations. The two-nation theory in its simplest way means that cultural, political, religious, economic and social dissimilarities between the two major communities. And here the two-nation theory is used for Hindus and Muslims. Page number 126, reading of Demand for Pakistan. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was amongst the most prominent Muslim leaders in those days. Prominent means important. He proposed the two-nation theory. The two-nation theory in its simplest way means that cultural, political, religious, economic and social dissimilarities between the two major communities. It was based on the belief that the Hindus and the Muslims constituted two separate nations within India and political separation alone could solve their problems. Muhammad Ali Jinnah began to demand a separate homeland or country for the Muslims. The Muslim League passed a resolution in 1940. This resolution clearly called for partition of India. Partition means separation, and the creation of a new state called Pakistan. The Congress opposed the two-nation theory, as did many Muslim nationalists like Abul Kalam Azad and Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. The term Pakistan means land of the pure in Urdu and Persian. P stands for Punjab, A stands for Afghan, K stands for Kashmir, I stands for Indus, and S stands for Sindh, and TAN represents Baluchistan. Okay children, that's it for today's class. I hope you have learned many new things regarding the struggle for freedom. Be with us till the end, as soon we are going to get the independence. Let's see the objectives that we have done in the classroom. Number 1, the Government of India Act 1935. Number 2, the Cripps Mission. And number 3, Jinnah's demand for Pakistan. Read pages 125 and 126 of your book. Revise the related terms and do the back exercises. Check out all the videos concerned with your topics by following the school link. Till then, take care. Bye. Have a good day.